time to hear computer gobbledygook, or gobbledygook, as you might want to say it. Because our next speaker is going to talk about computers. Yes, we can refer to him as a whippersnapper because he's one of the younger members of our club. But everyone is being hacked, either by people or by the computer. Oh my God. Listen here, as Cody shares with us, how we can protect ourselves, especially through our passwords. With his speech, you're one step away from your credit card information being stolen. Take it away, Cody.
Alrighty, I'm gonna share my screen. We will see. All right, perfect. So let's start with a game of password. So I can't quite see everyone here, but can I have a volunteer for playing password?
I'll volunteer.
Alrighty. All right, that sounded like Arlene. So I'll give you a hint and then you are to guess the password. So your hint is password.
So the password is password.
You got it. Oh, were you about to say something?
Well, you know, if you wanted to get persnickety about it, you could change the O to be a 0 and get really fancy.
You could. Alrighty. And could I have one more volunteer?
Okay. Valerie.
Alrighty. Thank you. So your hint is numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You got it. Alrighty, you two have already hacked into two people's accounts, so congratulations on that. So yeah, we've played password, and now we're going to talk about how our passwords can be stolen. So there's 4 things to think about with this. The first is knowing if you have been breached. How do you know? Second, how do we manage our passwords so this doesn't happen? Third, how do we get targeted with these kinds of password hacking problems? And then fourth, what do we do in the event that our information is stolen? So let's talk about the first one, knowing if your password and your information has been breached. So for those of you who have a phone or computer with you, I would encourage you to take a moment to go to this website, which you probably can't see there, but it says haveibeenpwned.com. And if you do that, which you can just search have I been, and then pwned is spelled P-W-N-E-D. And that's referring to having your information stolen. Then you can go into this website, which will look like this, and enter your email or phone number, and it will tell you if your information was in a common security breach, commonly known about security breach. If not, then you'll get this nice green sign that says it wasn't in a commonly known security breach. And if it's bad, you'll get a red sign with some bad news. So I'll give a little bit of time for y'all to do that. Okay. So if anyone was able to go to that website, I would be curious to know if we have anyone who hasn't been breached. Or Rick, congratulations. Do we have anyone that was breached? Yep, I am in that category too. I had to go back and fix that. So we'll talk about how to fix that later. Okay. So let's go on to the next thing. Another thing we can do to know if we've been breached is going, if you have a Google account, going to your settings. And if you use the password manager with Google, there is a password checkup option, which you can find in the security section. So it will look like this. And you just click on the go to password checkup option. And it will tell you if some of your passwords have been compromised. And it will tell you if you've reused passwords, which is another thing that actually 61% of us do. Reuse on several, if not all of our accounts. I've been guilty of that still. I'm learning about a lot of these things, so it's very helpful. I'm taking a cybersecurity course and a computer security, so this is, I know some of this stuff. I know some of this stuff. So that would be a good thing to look at another time. Another question, how many of y'all have a Facebook account? Yeah, what about an Uber account? Or what about a Google account? Yep, that probably covers most of us. Well, if we go back in history, all of those companies and a whole lot more have had some pretty big data breaches to them. So if you didn't think you were influenced by this before, well, it's pretty likely that you've been in one. So you can see here that Facebook had 533 million, I guess that would be, accounts that had some sort of data stolen from them. Some of these are less significant, some of them are more. And there's a lot more to this list. The website is informationisbeautiful.net if you want to see more of those. Okay. So now let's talk about the second concern, which is managing your passwords. How do we do that? Well, to begin, let's just talk about how important it is that we do manage our passwords. On average, 1 million passwords are stolen every week. The average cost for a security breach is $1.3 million. And 81% of those passwords that were stolen were because they were poorly formed, they were weak. And whenever that information is stolen, it's 300 days before anyone even realizes, on average, that that data has been stolen. So one option for us to overcome this problem is through a password manager. One example is LastPass, but there are many others, so feel free to look around at those. And password managers will help you because they will suggest passwords that are more secure and generate them, and they will allow you to store them. And as long as you have a good password on your password manager, so make sure you do that, then that information is very safe and you're able to keep some of that data from being stolen. If you decide not to use a password manager, here's some things to think about. If you have a password that is only 4 characters and only numbers, using a brute force attack, which just means they literally just type in a guess of what your password is, like we were doing earlier, then using a tool that can do that for them, it would be instantaneous for them to guess your password. And as it goes more characters and more different types of characters, it'll take them longer. So if you have 18 characters and all sorts of different ones, that's how long it will take. But of course, there are many more tools a hacker will have than just brute force attacks. So now let's talk about knowing how you could be targeted. There are lots of ways hackers can try and access your password. One might be through spam. So
Yellow?
you might get a spam email that's you click on it, not thinking anything about it, and then it puts software under your computer where they can then watch what buttons you're pressing. They might even be able to see your face through your camera. And people could just walk up to your computer and look at you typing in a password. There's many ways people could do this. And lastly, knowing what to do when your information is stolen, there's 3 things to keep in mind. One is letting your friends and family know when there is a breach that you know of so that they can fix it as well. You should also try and change your password. Don't reuse passwords. And third, notify the institution if they don't already know there's a breach. So to summarize, use a password manager. Make sure that websites are what they say they are in emails, and share what you learned here and what you will, if you continue to look into it, what you learned there. So here's a little cartoon to end this with. We need to balance security and usability as well. We can't just encrypt everything, because if we did, we'd have the situation. Alrighty, that is my speech.